It's a psychobilly freakout!
Hello everybody, it is Sunday, kind of early evening now at this point, but figure it's been a while since I've done a show-off Sunday video. Time to do another one here. Mostly came up with this one because of stuff coming up on my Facebook Memories timeline, and what came up was the fact that a year ago today, I finally got to see one of my favorite bands, the New Bomb Turks, play a show up in Chicago. And so yeah, a lot of you know I'm originally from just outside Cleveland, Ohio. And the New Bomb Turks actually are, all their members are from near Cleveland, but they got together in Columbus while they were all English majors at Ohio State University. But, so yeah, this was like back in the early 90s they got together. I'd never heard any of their stuff until like the early 2000s or so. And by that point, they'd already gone on hiatus and everything. It's like, oh crap, how did I miss out on these guys? And then I found out they're from Ohio, and it's like, double holy crap, how did I miss out on this? So I never had a chance to get to see them play. The closest they ever got down to Texas was playing a show in Austin while I was still living in Wichita Falls, and that's a bit of a drive. I didn't have the money to really do it, so I'm like, now I'm just gonna have to miss it. And so finally we find out that that they're opening for Reverend Horton Heat, one of the favorite musicians of both my wife and me. And we found out, oh, hey, that's great, you know, we'll catch them on this tour, and no, they're not coming through Dallas. In fact, they're only playing 2 shows on this tour, which were going to be the Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving, up in Chicago and Detroit. So yeah, we flew up to Chicago, but so it came up on my Facebook memories there about the band, and so like I said, got to see the concert there, or 2 concerts there of them, and actually, you know what? Here's a clip of it right now.
from Detroit for a long time. He even works here sometimes, if memory serves.
So there you go, a little piece of the Detroit show right there. But at the Chicago show, I got right up about second row there, and had this blue hair that I'm sure some of you remember me having in videos here before. But had my hair freshly dyed blue at that point, and had my this shirt actually, and a hat with all the pins all over it and everything, which I've probably worn on a few of these before too. But Eric Davidson, their lead singer, just gets on the mic first thing. He's like, "Yeah, there's this dude just right down here, right up front." This blue hair and one of our shirts and his hat with all these intimidating pins on. He is ready to rock out. I'm like, oh hell yeah, that's perfect. You know, getting called out by the lead singer first thing. But so I go back after they get done with their set, and I'm hanging out with my wife and her cousin and his girlfriend, and who's standing behind me but Eric Davidson, the lead singer. And so I brought this with me. One of the this is a re-release of their debut album. This, by the way, I should say before I get too far into this. This is going to be a music and entertainment show-off Sunday. So mostly music, few, like actors and stuff there as well. But yeah. So anyways, I bought a copy of the re-release of their debut album, Destroy Oh Boy. There's the back of it as well. But yeah, they did this re-release of it, and so I figured, you know what? I'm going to grab a copy of it and see if I can get signed by all the guys. And I'm halfway there on it, because like I said, I'm standing there right afterward, and Davidson's right behind me there. So we get to talking, I get a picture with him, and he signed the top of it right there. And then the next night, after the show in Detroit, got their guitarist to sign it. As you'll see it right over, kind of right up in there. So Jim Weber is the guitarist there. They had a different drummer. Unfortunately, I don't have my stick here at all. But the original drummer was Bill Rant, and he's no longer in the band. They've got different guy whose name I'm completely blanking on right now. I'm sounding like a total idiot with this one. But at the end of the show, he's tossing his sticks out to people. And I was like, hey, right here. And he sees me. He's like, all right, there you go. And toss it to me right there in the front. And so, yeah, that was pretty cool. So, yeah, like I said, most of my collection is sports autographs. But Sam Brown. Thank you. There we go. My wife's over there looking it up. It was Sam Brown is the current drummer for New Bomb Turks. But, yeah, so he tossed me his drumstick there. And so I've still got that somewhere up in my mess of stuff here. I forgot to grab it before I started recording this, and I don't feel like interrupting it right now. But it's a basic Pro Mark drumstick, but still, I know where it came from at least. So, anyways, so like I said, most of the stuff I collect is sports related, but I do get into a little bit of music every now and then because, of course, I'm a musician, so I've got my favorites I want to get autographs from, so I have, and so yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at those here today. The first one that I ever got was actually totally on a whim, and I may have shown this one off before, but back in 2004, I was coming out of Legal Seafoods in Boston, Massachusetts. I just had dinner with my mom, my grandmother, and one of my best friends who was my roommate that summer as well, my friend Tiffany. And as we're walking outside, this guy who's walking in says, hey, is that Eddie Van Halen over there? And I look over there and outside having a smoke. Sure enough, there's Eddie Van Halen standing there with, I don't know if it was like a bodyguard or somebody or whoever it was, but I'm like, oh my God. And this is how I learned always be prepared, because I actually had a blue Sharpie in my pocket, but I didn't have anything with me to get signed if I had run into somebody. So fortunately, I got lucky. My grandmother happened to have a pad of paper in her purse. And so that is how I ended up with a piece of paper signed by Eddie Van Halen. Of course, all the best, Drew, Eddie Van Halen 04. And so, yeah, that's... got to show that one off a little bit after his unfortunate death a couple of months ago. Moving on, we'll keep it on some of the music stuff here. Like I said, that was the first music autograph I can think of that I got. So you've seen what inspired me to do this one. You've seen what the first one was. Go into this one here. So definitely a bit of a punk rocker more than anything. That's what I play well, what I listen to the most, and what I've always been a fan of. And Dropkick Murphys were one of my favorite bands. They were really what got me into it. It was hearing the album Sing Loud, Sing Proud in late 2001, I want to say. I had heard it. They actually did Spicy McHaggis a Jig live on Conan O'Brien. And I heard that, and I'm like instantly hooked at that point and became a huge Dropkick Murphys fan. And so 2004, I finally saw them live in Boston. This was about September of 04. It was getting late in the baseball season because they had just released the song Tessie. They hadn't quite become the household name yet that Tessie made them, but they were playing a free show downtown at Boston's Government Center on this stage thing they had just recently set up, and kept on using that stage for a good, 10, 15 years afterward. They were doing, like weekly shows out there during certain parts of the year. And so while I was there, I figured, hey, I'll buy a T-shirt, and they had an autograph session with a few of the members. And so I think this was Ken Casey, Scruffy Wallace, Mark Orell, and Tim. God, what was his name? Can you look that up for me, please? Dropkick Murphys, Tim. This would have been 2004. Just figure out who it was, but yeah. So I bought this soccer jersey, and there's I see the front of it there. It's got the actually the hockey logo there, but kind of a soccer jersey style. And on the back has Dropkick Murphys 04, the Pride of Boston, and got it signed by the 4 members that were out there signing autographs. There we go. Hopefully that shows all 4. Tim Brennan. There we go. Yeah. Thank you. Once again, my wife coming through in the clutch on the research there. But you have right up there is Ken Casey, bassist and occasional vocalist. Scruffy Wallace, who at the time was the bagpipe player, right at the right there. Down the... I'm sure that just got picked up by everybody right there. So nice. Anyways, so like I said, Ken Casey, Scruffy Wallace, Tim Brennan, and Mark Orell all signed the shirt there. I'd like to get signed by a few more members as well, but haven't gotten around to it. I've only seen them in concert twice ever. The most recent time was in, this would have been last year actually, in February of 2019 up here, or down here in Dallas. In fact, if I can find one, I'm going to put in a clip right here from that show.
Doesn't take a big man to knock somebody down. Just a little courage to lift them off the ground. This world is not what it seems. These risky goggles are clouding up my dreams.
So there you go. That was part of the show in 2018 in Dallas. And so, yeah, didn't bother to stick around. My feet were killing me after that. I was sitting right at the edge of the pit, and it was crazy down there. And it was awesome, and I was ready for some IHOP after that. So didn't stick around to get any other autographs. And I don't even think I wore that one down there at all. But yeah, so anyways, like I said, I really haven't done a whole lot of entertainment and musical autographs at all. But got a few to show off here. Got lucky on 2 of these ones here. Just happened to be on a total whim when I was out doing some hockey stuff in up in Boston. There, I was at a they did a Bruins alumni and some celebrities playing a charity game against like a team of Microsoft employees or something like that. But stuck around after outside the arena, and as the alumni players were leaving, a lot of them were signing. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't just an alumni game. It was also a couple of celebrities there. And so Neil McDonough, who was an actor and I think he was in one of the Star Trek series, but he signed an index card there for me, which I later printed his name on. And, of course, the comedian Dennis Leary, also an actor on the show Rescue Me, signed an index card there for me as well. He was actually an Emerson grad along with me, and one of my favorite teachers in my time at Emerson was Alex Wiersbicki, and his roommate at one point was Dennis Leary there in the 1980s when they were both going to Emerson. Let's see here. I think the most of the rest of these are going to be, yeah, most of these are going to be music related. Misplaced one of them. I don't have it in, or maybe I just don't have it in here yet, but maybe over in here. Not exactly too well organized on the stuff right at the moment. There it is. There's the other 2 or 3 or 50, however many. There we go. Let's put those over there. Okay. A couple of them I even forgot about in there. So glad I looked in that pile. So I'm going to just go with the rest of the entertainment ones before we get into the music ones. Donald Faison, who was on the show Scrubs, and he's also in the movie Clueless, and some other things as well. But he's played in a celebrity baseball game that they have here in the Dallas area. It's run by the Reebok Heroes Foundation. Originally, Mike Modano was the guy who organized it. Now it's Dirk Nowitzki is the big name that's on it. But Donald Faison has played in a couple of those, and so gotten an index card and a photo signed by him over time. But yeah, this it's actually just a plain computer printed photo on some kind of like cardstock, basically. But while I was working with the hockey team, I had really no good way to print photos off at the time for cheaply. So I'm like, you know what? We've got a decent printer. I can just put on some cardstock or something like that, and it works just fine. It's not like I'm looking to sell any of this stuff, just for my own collection and everything. So came out looking pretty good, I thought. So let's see here. A couple of these you have already seen before. I mentioned before that I've gotten David Newell, who played Mr. McFeely on the Mr. Rogers show, and of course Joe Negri, Handyman Negri from the show as well. Those two right there. Negri, also a legendary musician in the jazz world, taught jazz guitar for a number of years in the Pittsburgh area. And I think I showed this one off as well because I've gotten it back fairly recently, but Ed Asner signed that one. Made a Freakazoid reference on there. I mentioned that that was one of my favorite shows as a kid, and he did some of the voices on there. And so with that, I think we are through all of the kind of actors ones, the entertainment world as opposed to the musical world. So let's go ahead and move on to music. Let's see here, or back to music, I guess, since I kind of already started with that. Go through these index cards and such here first. I mentioned before that celebrity baseball game, but with, what's his name? Donald Faison. But Joey Fatone, formerly of NSYNC and Dancing with the Stars, played in that as well. Yeah, my wife's a little bit of a fan there. And so got an index card signed by him, added on all the info there. Unfortunately, the text got a little bit cut off there on the N there of NSYNC, but whatever, it still works out. So got that one. And let's see, some more recent ones that I've gotten. A few of these I know you have seen on the channel before, such as the two from Rolling Stones drummer Charlie Watts. And let's see, a couple other musical ones. Booker T. Jones, one of my favorite musicians. Of course, the namesake of Booker T. and the MGs. And so I mailed off to him through an address in Las Vegas. I think it was his office address. And so he sent back autograph on my custom index card. Let's see, I'm also a big Motown fan, besides being a bit of a punk rocker as well. And unfortunately, a lot of the members of the backing band, the Funk Brothers, have already died. I believe two of the members of kind of the main crew of them are still alive. I mailed to one with no response, but I did at least get one back from the tambourine player, who also did some other percussion for them. Some of the, I think he played the vibes, marimba, stuff like that a little bit as well. But that is Jack Ashford. Pretty much any Motown song you've probably heard him in, because there's probably going to be a tambourine there in it, and he's the guy playing it. So really cool to get that one. I mean, that's a big musical influence on me as a percussionist for a long time, so really cool to get that one. Kind of getting down to the last few here. This one actually came from a 11 years ago almost. So my wife and I, when we were living up in Wichita Falls, we had worked with her brother to get tickets to the Mannheim Steamroller Christmas concert in Dallas. Took place the day after Christmas Day with the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. Christmas Eve, Wichita Falls gets hit with the worst snowstorm ever. I think maybe possibly in the city's history. I mean, I think we got, 8 inches dumped on us that night.
I think it was more like 12.
Yeah, it was some ungodly amount. Yeah, it was crazy. Just, I mean, overnight got hit with all the snow. And we're like, all right, well, we still drive down to Dallas. We've got these tickets. And we didn't tell her mom about this. We were trying to surprise her mom with it. And she's all like, no, I do not want to have to be in a car through all this. We're not going down there. We'll do it another day. And we're like, no, you have to go down here. We can't tell you why, but you have to pack up and go. And so she basically got in the car and closed her eyes the entire way. Now, we had just bought a new car that was really good in winter weather, fortunately.
Yeah, the review said it's perfect for winter weather driving. And I actually thought, well, when am I ever going to use this? 24 hours later.
Yeah. So we started driving down. It's a 2-hour drive normally. It took us 2 hours just to get halfway there. It took us 3 hours total, because once we hit the town of Decatur, Texas, it was like there hadn't been any snow at all from that point southward. It's like a little dusting, and that was it. But we had lost count of the number of cars off the road at 50 cars and a snowplow that were all stuck in the in the snow and ice. And fortunately, though, we made it down without any problems. Got to see the Mannheim Steamroller show, and afterwards I got the 4 of the members, I believe, 5 of the members, to sign a ticket stub from the show. Thought that'd be kind of a cool thing to have, so got that. And let's see here, down to the last 2. Reverend Horton Heat. I actually bought this one at a solo show that he did. We went and saw him play just by himself without the rest of his band, and picked up a copy of his single Hard Scrabble Woman, backed with Lying to Myself, and had him sign that right at the top. Jim Reverend Horton Heat. Probably will get it signed by Jimbo at some point. Jimbo being the upright bass player there. So I might get him to sign that eventually. Unfortunately, this one had a different drummer on it. This was, let's see here. Yeah, this was Scott Chirillo was still on the drums on this album. He's no longer playing with them, but they've got a different drummer. I might have him sign it. I don't know. We'll see. But at the very least, I got to get Jimbo to sign it for sure. And so the last two, a couple of others that were from shows that I saw in Dallas here, one being the Dead Milkmen, another one of my favorite bands. Hopefully we'll have a clip right here from the Dallas show. If not, I'll grab one from a fairly recent show elsewhere. So there you go, a little clip of the Dead Milkmen, but there's this baseball player who used to play for the Detroit Tigers, Jim Wallawander, I think is how it's pronounced. I might be pronouncing it totally wrong on there, but he was a middle infielder mostly for the Tigers in the late 80s. I think he played into the early 90s, didn't have too long of a career. But he was actually a big fan of the band, and the day that he hit his only Major League home run, the band was in attendance at the game, came to, meet him and hang out and everything. They had to leave, though, before the end of the game because they had a show in Detroit that night, and they had left just before he hits his first career home run. But it actually got mentioned on the back of one of Jim's cards that he's a big fan of the Dead Milkmen. I think it was his 89 score. And when I was going to go see the show, I couldn't find the card to save my life. I thought I had a copy of it somewhere. I found it like 2 weeks later. It was in the wrong spot. But I did at least come across an 89 Donruss card of him. Took it with me to the show and got the 3 remaining original members to sign the card. So there you go, all 3 signing that one. Really cool to get that one, and they all laughed seeing that it was a card of probably their most famous fan in the world. So it's really cool getting them to sign that one. And last, a band that I really got into, again, kind of like the New Bomb Turks, but I really got into them kind of after they broke up. They just released their last album just a few months before they broke up that I really started getting into their stuff. But Stabbing Westward, this industrial band out of Chicago, had the big hit, of course, was Save Yourself, kind of came out in the late 90s. I remember hearing that all over the radio at that time. And yeah, I really liked their stuff, but didn't get hugely into them until a few years later when I was in college. But finally, they got back together for the 20th anniversary of... I think they did for the 25th anniversary of the founding of the band and the 20th anniversary of the Darkest Days album or something like that. Whatever number it was somewhere in there. 85, 95, 05, 50. I think it was the 30th year of the band. And they did it for the 25th year after Save Yourself and the Darkest Days album. Sounds right to me, at least. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with those numbers on it. Might have been 30 and 20. Anyways, so I went to go see their show when they did the... it was just as part of the 30th anniversary tour, and I saw them again when they did the album anniversary show and tour. But I actually I'm friends with Walter Flackus, their keyboard player, on Facebook, and before going to the show, I messaged him. I said, "Hey, you guys gonna be around, anytime before or after the show to get something signed?" And he's like, "Yeah, we'll be around. We'll try to be, at the merch desk or something like that. Just come find us back there." I'm like, "All right, cool." So go watch the opening bands there at this show, and so I'd go back and check out the merch booth, and who's sitting there operating the merch booth but lead singer Chris Hall, and I'm like, dude, this is amazing. I mean, this is a band that had a huge album a few years ago, and instead of, just like saying, no, we're too good for that, he's down there running the merch booth himself. It's like, dude, that is amazing. So got down there, bought a shirt, he signed my CD for me, and then after the show, I was able to find Walter walking around, and then went and found their guitarist, Jim Eliopoulos, or Mark Eliopoulos, as he's breaking down all of his gear on stage. He didn't even have a roadie doing it for him. He's taking down his own gear and everything, but got both of them to sign the CD as well. So got 3 out of the original 5 members of Stabbing Westward to sign. This is actually the Wither, Blister, Burn, and Peel album, but see if I can, there we go, get just the right amount of light on it. But right down there is Chris Hall. Up there is Mark Eliopoulos, and down here is Walter Flackis' signature. There we go. So I'd like to be able to get it signed by the last 2 members. That's bass player Jim Sellers and drummer Andy Kubashevsky. I've tried reaching out to them. I found one of them on Facebook. I think it was Sellers I found on Facebook. Messaged him, never heard anything back. Tried finding Kubashevsky elsewhere. I think I emailed him, never heard anything back there. So hopefully I'll be able to get those last 2 guys to sign this one. But yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I've got 2 or 3 more members of the New Bomb Turks I'd like to get to sign their album. I might actually, I know their bass player, which is Matt Reber, I think it is. Matt Reber? Yeah, Matt Reber. One's Weber and one's Reber, so it's kind of tough remembering which is which. But Matt Reber I actually used to follow on Twitter on my previous accounts. But I'll probably message him at some point and say, hey, dude, is there any chance I can mail this to you and have you sign it? I'd like to get, Sam Brown, Bill Rant as well, but I don't really have a way to contact them. And, see what I can come up with. Why not? What's the point in following these guys on social media if you can't ask for something like that? So we'll see how that goes. But there you go. That's pretty much the non-sports autographs in my collection. Not a whole ton of them. I can sit here, probably go on for 24 hours if I really wanted to, just showing off sports ones. But got all the non-sports ones knocked out in about 22 minutes. It looks like there. So not too bad. But hey, thanks again for tuning in. Hopefully I was able to get all of those clips of the shows on there. Oh, geez, I forgot to put the Stabbing Westward clip in there. So, hey, how about we just finish this with a clip of Stabbing Westward playing live in Dallas? Right here. Thanks for tuning in. Check out some Stabbing Westward.
Just